Black lives matter, and I say that as a matter of fact. So I refuse to sit back while black people remain systematically under attack. Now let's make sure that this movement outlives the moment. Make sure that Black Lives Matter amounts to more than just a slogan. Now you don't have to be a victim to see the complete audacity that for no good reason people are being treated savagely. The system needs to change, and I mean radically. We're already seeing more police brutality, people protesting for peace and equality being further oppressed and beaten tragically. The time has passed for people to stand by passively. We all need to stand up to be anti-racist, and I mean actively. We watched George Floyd struggling for breath when he clearly wasn't resisting arrest. So for people in denial, there's nothing to suppress, which means the time has come that they have to accept that it was nothing but his colour that led to his death. The footage makes this undeniable, in no way justifiable. A peaceful arrest was more than viable. Man, it fumes me out that police brutality is more reliable. It's devastating. There's no mistaking or debating that this was murder in plain sight. Of course, the victim was black, and 3 out of 4 officers were white. So we won't be holding our breath waiting for justice to come to light, because they'd rather arrest thousands of citizens and provoke more violence than doing what's right, arresting just 4 officers, which they could have done that night. But nah, behind their badges they hide, their own gang hiding in plain sight, killing people in broad daylight, and still, justice takes their side. It took both peaceful protests and riots for them to decide that these murderers have to pay for taking George's life. I wish I was surprised by police taking black lives. Truth is, for centuries there's been such abuse, inequality and divides, and whether you like it or not, white lives have always been prioritised. So I hope this helps to crystallise. This systemic racism has gone on for centuries, not to mention how people of colour have been thin in the penitentiaries, while near enough no police face penalties, and black people serve time for minor crimes while police get away with felonies. Too many black people have been robbed of their past, present and legacies. For discoveries, inventions and achievements often get less or no credit, see. Many living without their basic amenities, trying twice as hard to get half as much, having less opportunities is straight treachery. A good standard of living is a human right and necessity. See, the police state is just one of our enemies. It's not just equality we're seeking, we need equity. Now, saying this is an American problem, that's straight obscenity. These global racist tendencies are all part of one entity. Underrepresentation at the top, negative stereotypes and being over-prosecuted, these are ingredients for the same recipe. So from the US to UK, there is no discrepancy. See? This really ain't an American problem. The UK been saying that as if to absolve them. What about Mark Duggan, Leon Briggs and Sarah Reid? Everyone involved in their deaths continues to roam free. So with guns in America, their violence may exceed, but it's the same problem here. No justice guaranteed. Now, racism takes various forms. Many think of the obvious ones as the norm, but it took countless raindrops to create this storm. Subliminally, there lies so much more. Like the deliberate effort that has to be made to find toys, films and games where positive black role models are being displayed. Often with representations of black people they degrade, and young people see the negative way that people who look like them are being portrayed. And how did it take so long for a black plaster to be made? It's just another way that the white supremacist state shows black people their place. Not to mention the way an honest account of history the schools evade, reducing black history to just being enslaved, when we know the endless influential roles that black people have and continue to play. No longer can we let this racism cascade. So anyone saying all lives matter? This one's for you. Would you feel better if we said Black Lives Matter too? I beg you take a second to realise that this isn't about you. Of course all lives matter, don't get it confused. But for centuries, black people have been systematically abused. So we need to focus on making sure that black lives are being valued, and we've got to unite to make these positive moves. I would never pretend to understand what black people have to go through. And if you're a white person hearing this, realise that you don't too. Also, claiming you don't see colour essentially means you don't see the truth. Not seeing colour means being blind to the discrimination and abuse. You may mean well, but you need to educate yourself, because there's far more abuse than there is video coverage. To see the truth, you've got to commit to discovering it. White people inevitably see less injustice. That white privilege by virtue covers it, while other people spend their lives suffering it. And don't expect people to educate you. Invest in your own knowledge, expand your view. Because if what you're seeing is this devastating, imagine what you'd find if you pursued. Many say it's an uncomfortable and emotionally exhausting thing to do, which of course can be true. So imagine just for a second, if this racism was something that you had to live through. No off switch then, so what are you going to do? If for no good reason the world continues to discriminate against you. Our humanity makes us equal, but we ain't treated equally, and that's the truth. So there's the conscious bias and the unconscious bias too. So even people who aren't actively racist, they have these biases too. All our lives, our minds have been polluted by the media we consume. So actively or passively, it can affect what you do and assume. So to make this change, you got to start with you. Now let's make sure that this movement outlives the moment. Make sure that Black Lives Matter amounts to more than just a slogan. Pass the hashtag and we need to keep this rolling. Take this opportunity to fix what's broken, return what's stolen, and ensure the powers that be reach atonement. It's not about black against white. It's us united against the racist opponent. Thank you.